Revelations chapter 13, verse 16, quote, "All people, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, were forced to have a mark. Without the mark of the beast, it was impossible to buy or sell anything." Now, some might take this Bible verse to be a prophetic warning about digital ID. As it so happens, digital ID is about to be rolled out around the world, and it's more evil than anyone could have imagined, except perhaps the author of Revelations, that is. So today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about digital ID and when it will be coming to your country. Not to be dramatic or anything, but this may be the most important video you'll ever watch.
Shalom, 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 shalom. First, I want to give all the praises and the glory to the Most High Yahweh, Chal Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, who is the Son, Rakha Kadash, the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, our elders, our teachers. Shalom to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters who have been edified by the truth of the scriptures of who we are and of who the other nations are. Shalom, 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 shalom. So that was just a little intro, and I would advise you to watch that video. I'm going to play a little clip of it in a little while, another little part of it. I'm going to play of it, but it's a 30-minute video, and I would say to you to watch it and listen to what this guy has to say, because everything he says is what's going to lead us to the microchip. Because ultimately, all of these, the end road for all of these digital currencies is going to be the microchip. So first I want to read this. This is the news I wanted to bring to you, all right, which wasn't spoken about, which they didn't have on the mainstream news. They kept this hush-hush, but they had a massive meeting at Davos last week. Now, and what they was discussing is the Universal Digital Payments Network, and this is the key word, launched at Davos. Launched at Davos. Universal Digital Payments Networks launched at Davos. This is what's going to be the backbone for the microchip. The Universal Digital Payments Network system. That's going to be the backbone for the mark of the beast, the MOTB, the microchip. So this was launched last week at Davos on the last day. All right, today is the 23rd. This happened on the 20th of January, which was the Friday, the last day of the meeting at Davos. So let me just quickly read this article here, right? We're on FinTech Extra website, all right? This is a financial institution, a well-revered and known financial institution website, all right? So it says here, a universal digital network, UDPN, right? For stable coins and, as we keep telling you, central banks' digital currencies, CBDCs, was launched at the World Economic Forum in Davos. The network aims to provide interoperability between these digital currencies. It says the Universal Digital, right, Payment Network has been in development for the last 2 years. We've been telling you about this, constantly putting out videos and telling you that the digital currency is the gateway that's going to bring us finally to the microchip, because the microchip will be a digital wallet. Will be a passport, a driving license. It will have your work history, criminal history. It will have your health history on it, but its main use will be for you to buy or sell the microchip. But this is the precursor for it. This is what's going to bring us directly to the microchip, is when all money goes digital. Just so you understand, once again, for those of you that still doubt what's being prophesied and what's being taught and what the Bible shows you clearly, It says here, the Universal Digital Payment Network has been in development for the last 2 years with contributions from GFT, Red Date, Technology, Tokyo, and DLA Piper. So all of these banks have been involved. The Bank of East Asia, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, GFT, all part of this launch process that took place on Friday. It says a sandbox. A sandbox is what you call a development environment. So if anybody works in IT computers, they know that if they have a sandbox, they use it. It's a set of disks which they create development systems on, like servers and computers and a network, and they do all their testing within that. It's like a closed environment, all right? So they refer to it as a sandbox because it's not exposed to the actual networks. It's got its own private network with all the development systems inside them for do the testing. That's what a sandbox is. So it says a sandbox was launched in July of 2022, where multiple banks were actively testing stablecoin transfer and FX transactions, right? It says here, the network was launched at Davos. Just widen this up a little bit. The network was launched at Davos with a panel discussing rapidly evolving digital currency, interoperability, and infrastructure. The panel included representatives from Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Standard Chartered, the Bank of East Asia, and AC Bank. The Universal Digital the Universal Digital Product Network reports that several Tier 1 banks will participate in a series of proof of concepts, which they refer to as POCs, right? They will participate in proof of concept, in a series of proof of concept use cases throughout the rest of this month to demonstrate how the UDPN could be used to solve current and future challenges in integrating digital currency into daily business, banking, and payment scenarios. It says the first two of these proof of concepts will involve two global banks testing the UDPN's digital currency, a cross-border transfer and swap transaction capabilities, and how the critical travel rule can be easily implemented on the universal product network between two financial institutions for anonymous stablecoin transfers. It says the purpose of the UDPN is to investigate a potential alternative to existing payment systems. Can't say this enough. This is why it's all going digital. By enabling interoperability between fiat-backed tokens of stablecoins and regulated protocols, said Marika Lawley, CEO of GFT. The decentralized approach and geographic breadth of participating firms, combined with the advanced technological solution deployed for these trials, set this network apart. So, this is where we're at. The Universal Digital Payments Network, all right? I kept saying product network, so like payment networks. It's been launched, it's in on a global scale. It's a done deal. There's no going back. So let me just play. It's another part of this I want to play. It's around here. And then I'm going to read another document, and then I'm going to bring out some scriptures. For what if some did not believe? Romans 3:3. I can't say it enough. For what if some? I've just got to read that one out because that always comes to mind. Because you've got the naysayers, the gainsayers that are still teaching that the mark of the beast is sin, or it's the spirit, or it's the Pope, or it's a Catholic church, or it's this Antichrist, or all these mad things, when it's as clear as day what it is. Romans 3 and 3, 3 and 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? Most High forbid, yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar. That's teaching that the mark of the beast is anything else but the microchip. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Because we're all going to be judged on taking this microchip. Every single person is going to be judged. So listen on again here. So I'll play this little clip here for a couple of minutes.
12%. This underscores the fact that the overwhelming majority will not voluntarily adopt the digital systems the UN wants to implement. The fact that the UN is apparently developing a separate digital ID system for the elites really says it all. So, how do you force the average person to adopt a digital ID when they don't want to? Well, there's only one answer, and that's to create a situation where the average person needs a digital ID to do everyday things, a situation where not having a digital ID makes living unbearably difficult. During the pandemic, dozens of countries demanded that their citizens show digital proof of a medical procedure that I shall not name because of the YouTube algorithm. The UNDP report arguably proves that these digital certificates of compliance were de facto digital IDs, in case that wasn't obvious enough. To be clear, I'm not saying the pandemic was at all premeditated. All I will say is that a pandemic simulation called Event 201 was conducted in October 2019 in partnership with the WEF, which partnered with the UN to push SDGs earlier that year, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has spent billions on digital ID development. There's also BlackRock's report from August 2019 that predicted the fiscal and monetary response to the pandemic and even what comes next for the economy after it's over. That will be in the description. Now, with that said, there's no question that the UN and its affiliates took advantage of the pandemic to run large-scale tests of their digital ID systems. I mean, the UNDP says this over and over in that digital strategy report. The UNDP report also reveals that digital ID will be used to support and enforce the UN's other initiatives, such as the Paris Agreement. If you watched our aforementioned video about individual carbon credit systems, you'll know that Article 6 of the Paris Agreement establishes these systems. The UNDP report even reveals details about how exactly the UN's digital ID push is being coordinated from the top. It discusses a, quote, digital governance group which is providing all the funding. What's concerning is that I could not find any information about this organization anywhere on the internet. What's especially concerning is that the UNDP report describes the establishment of a global headquarters, country offices, regional offices, and policy centres for the digital ID rollout. It even reveals the roles that the public and private institutions will play in this digital ID dystopia. The paragraph that really stuck out to me was, quote, country offices will be the primary drivers of digital program design and implementation in the field. They will be supported by networked digital advocates with specialized training, as well as ICT associates who will support the rollout of new corporate systems and processes. I couldn't help but be reminded of how WEF chairman Klaus Schwab is ushering in the Great Reset using a massive network of so-called young global leaders and so-called young global shapers. Maybe these young leaders and young shapers will also be digital advocates for the UN's Digital ID initiative. You can learn how to survive the Great Reset using the link in the description.
So, I am going to now read a part of that report that he is referring to. Right? He was talking about, because I found the exact document, right? And I put the link to this document and the link to this article in the description box, all right, if you want to read it yourself. Now, this is a document he's referring to, the United Nations Development Programme, Digital Strategy, 2022 to 2025, because they want this thing fully implemented by 2025. All right, we are now in 2023. So this is the document he is referring to. So it has different parts. Pathway 1, programmatic objectives. Pathway 1, programmatic outcomes. Pathway 2, operational objectives. Pathway 2, operational outcomes. All right? That was part 2, right? Part 1 was the guidelines and principles and values and propositions. And then part 3 is the strategy, implementation, approach, and measuring results. So this is the report that was put together by the United Nations Development Programme Digital Strategy, right? They're working lock stock with the WEF, the World Economic Forum. So it talks a little bit about it here. It says, yet the pandemic also demonstrated the incredible power of digital technology. From Honduras to Nigeria, the United States to the United Nations assisted countries to leverage the potential of digital finance to support critical electronic cash transfer programs, benefiting millions of people. In the Maldives and Brazil, the United Nations Development Programme supported parliaments to hold virtual sessions, right? So it goes on to talk about what it was doing to get this together. So there's different parts in this report, right? So this is the executive summary, right? So it says the United Nations Digital Programme launched its first digital strategy in mid-2019 to harness digital transformation within the organization, building on a long history of project-level digital support for partners. The strategy represented a systematic and corporate-driven transformation process to reimagine the way the United Nations Digital Programme serves its partners and operates its systems and processes. The first digital strategy proved to be prescient, given the incredible acceleration in the digital transformation in response to the C-19, as you can see, pandemic, right? So I want to go to the last part of this program here, right? Because this is what this is all about. This is what this whole when they say we define digital as an ever-evolving range of technologies like mobile technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, Internet of Things, IoT, and robotics, to name a few, that impact the aspects of our world. A mindset which translates into a new way of working that enables people and institutions to innovate with technology. Now watch this. I want to go to the, but it's also, is it here? Hold on. Okay, that's the guiding principles, but that's right here, it's at the bottom. Now you can read this document because he refers to a lot in this document, all right? You can read this document in your own time, all right? Like I said, it's in the description box. But this is what I want to go to. So this part here, it says the principles for digital inclusion, all right? The foundation of the digital catalyst, inclusive the whole of society's digital transformation. This is for the whole world. What does the scripture say, right? In Revelations 2, that he's gonna, the scripture, I'm gonna come back to it. What does the Bible say in Revelations? Because I want to bring you to a specific part. I think it's Revelations 3. What does the Lord say here? Revelations 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? Which is the microchip, the mark of the beast, which shall come upon all of the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Now this is the plan. Let's go back to the document. So it says here, the foundational digital catalyst is an inclusive for the whole of society digital transformation. This is the foundation that's going to lead us to the microchip. So this is for the whole world. It's for people, your average citizen, businesses, infrastructure, governments, regulation. So everything's got to play a part in this because it's for the whole world. This digital transformation that will eventually lead us to the microchip is for the whole world. Just like it says here, inclusive whole of society's digital transformation. Now, let's go to the meat. Like I said, you can read this whole document. There's a lot in this in your own time. It's in the description box, but this is where I want to go to. So, the Chief Digital Office. The Chief Digital Office helps to accelerate the digital transformation by focusing on strategic transformation topics, execution, and providing critical capabilities at the beginning. With a growing digital maturity, the bureaus and the country offices begin to drive most digital executions, with the Chief Digital Office having a supportive role. Now, here, where is it? Now, there are what they did. They created scenarios, right? Scenarios on how they're going to implement this. All right. Let's quickly go to it. This is what they did. They created 4 scenarios, however you pronounce it. How they're gonna do this. All right. So it says this foresight work is based on alternative futures. This foresight is for the future. This prophecy, right? This is their foresight, what's coming for the future. This foresight work is based on the alternative futures methodology, the core of which is in development and understanding of alternative future scenarios according to the 4 major archetypes. So there are 4 scenarios that they created, right? And we're going to look at them. One is called continuous growth, which is a future with acceleration of the current trajectory, including the current problems. The second scenario is called the collapse, a future with the system collapsing due to one or a variety of reasons. The third scenario is discipline, a future with society organized around one overarching topic of sustainability. The fourth scenario is transformation, a future of a radical change due to redefining phenomena or events. So we're going to quickly look at these 4 scenarios, right? Shalom to the Akims on the comment board. Stay with me, family. This is very interesting. Stay with me because they've got it all planned. They've got it all planned for you. Scenario number 1. All right. Remember, this is the digital United Nations digital program for the world. Scenario 1, which is based on the same trajectory. Basically, in this future, we see much more of what we have in the present. Similar problems, increased in scope and scale. Technology is advancing at a great pace, but it only benefits a few groups in society. There is a huge digital divide with many communities pushed further behind. Tech companies have more power than governments or nation states, right? We always talk about this, right? We're moving into a technocratic world, right? Technocracy is ruling. Tech companies have more power than governments or nation states. They shape laws and civic engagements in most places. This is scenario 1 that we're reading. And they impact local public agendas and discourse. Small businesses survive if working on large tech platforms, but their data and that of their customers is mined for profit. Many jobs are automated, driving huge changes for wealthy nations, while low and middle income countries are now included in the global mega marketplace platforms, which threatens local livelihoods. We tell you this all the time. How are they looking to destroy the middle class, right? It says people are even more connected, distracted, and divided. We speak about this all the time. Disinformation and misinformation are rife. We can't say enough. No one knows what to believe and trust in institutions. Institutions is at an all-time low. Remember, they're going to create these scenarios. Algorithms developed and pushed by big tech and social media companies decide which environmental issues get attention. Therefore, action and humanity efforts are even more scattered and contradictory. We are not reversing planetary damage because economies and big businesses are still wired for growth at all costs. Climate disasters accelerate, driving more instability, fear, and conflict. Resilience is low amongst the countries due to the constant fight with volatility and scarcity. The developing countries that the United Nations digital program serves are more adaptable than the previous, more stable Western nations. There are bright spots where communities are using digital technology, and the cornerstone of that digital technology is going to be a microchip, in highly innovative ways to solve local problems. Humanity is solving some of our problems faster, but also making critical problems bigger. So this is the first scenario that they can create to bring in this new digital transformation world. Scenario number 2, falling into the abyss, the collapse architect type, right? Archetype. In this future, most systems in the world reach their limit, quickly spin out of control and collapse. Elites push society towards instability with inadequate allocation of resources and wealth. Inequality and disproportionate allocation prevails. We speak about that all the time, right? Isaiah chapter 10, right? When it says, woe to them. We speak about that all the time, right? Like I said, these scenarios are what they're going to create. And these are the 4 scenarios that they are looking at, remember. All right, this is what they are going to create. These are their options. And we say this all the time. Woe unto them that decree, Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Let's continue reading scenario number 2. It says, even when paired with rapid and uncontrolled technological development and adoption, economic conditions and standards of living deteriorate over many years. With a sudden failure of our major systems, the world becomes economically unstable with lots of frustration, fear, and social anxiety. Rapid automation leaves a lot of people without work and means to live. The pace of reskilling and retraining cannot keep pace with automation. The population growth is explosive. It leads to the depletion of natural resources. The rate of pollution is unprecedented. The world does not seem to be a sustainable place to live. Migration or relocation due to political, climate, economic crisis becomes an ungovernable challenge. Technology growth and governance are chaotic and unmanageable. Dangerous innovations emerge with a possibility for an AI takeover, right? As you know what that stands for. The internet is the dark place full of misinformation and fakes. Blurred lines between real and artificial brings about a collapse in trust. So remember, they said a possible AI takeover, right? Artificial intelligence takeover. It says there is no clear-cut delineation of power. The world is on the way towards global political impasse, resulting in an overwhelming sense of insecurity and hopelessness. Communities reorganize into smaller hubs. What does that remind you of? That reminds me of Hunger Games. Right? Communities reorganize into smaller hubs with more local governance and creative autonomy. Humanity falls into a rabbit hole of problems and challenges with no light at the end of the tunnel. This is scenario number 2. Remember, this is what they're deciding, which one of these scenarios they're going to use to bring us in to this digital world. right? Into this digital transformation of everything that we use, particularly money. Scenario number three, radical new norm, transformation archetype, right? In this future, the world, this is where we are, right? In this future, the world has undergone a huge transformation. Life as we know it has changed radically. After a complete collapse in trust, in institutions, in media, in science, in each other, the people of the world have focused strongly inwards on their closest communities. Nation states and large societies broke down and then reformed in smaller, tightly held groups. People live in these smaller groups, really exposed to other people. Travel has slowed completely. Food is local and seasonal, and a renaissance in local business and community becomes the norm. Areas with productive land, clean water, and stable weather are highly sought after, driving local conflict. These areas change often due to climate instability. Everything that these guys are telling you about the different scenario are everything that we speak on, that we know these elites are going to create the conditions for one of these scenarios to come to pass, for them to bring in, to finally bring in the last part of this new world order. It says here, large parts of the earth have become barely livable. New high-tech cities are popping up, ones that produce their own water, power, and are able to lock themselves off from sandstorms and other facets of climate change. There was a complete shift away from oligarchic capitalism, and the gap between the wealthy few and everyone else on the planet is getting smaller. Democracy is over. Oh, look at that. You have to really wonder which one of them they're going to go with, boy. Power is owned by the corporations with the technology people want. New forms of collectivism and governance are emerging within the larger, more popular communities. Their new ways of living together are being formed. The world of work has transformed dramatically. There are few paid jobs. And most communities run on the voluntary effort of their community members. Man, this truly sounds like Hunger Games. Humanity has a new set of problems to solve. Exciting new ways to live together are emerging, while power is with both the corporation and the people. Which one are they going to choose? And this is the last scenario. Scenario number 4, in pursuit of sustainability. So this is discipline. In this future, global society strives to find equilibrium after a series of dramatic or traumatic shocks and events. Pursuing sustainability becomes a long and arduous movement that finally gains a lot of traction. It says humanity honors the limits of all vital resources and builds a system where the needs of the present can be met without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Driven by a cultural shift, there is common agreement that balancing economic growth with social inclusion and environmental protection can be a recipe for a sustainable world. Minor crises are happening from time to time, but resilient societies can bounce back quickly from crises that would have crippled the fragile system of the past. Countries have been reinforcing safeguards such as inclusion, trust, competition, security, privacy. It made them adaptable and protected from risk. Funds are shared between governments and citizens, and universal services and public goods are provisioned. Automation is smartly used to relieve human drudge. The jobs are fairly and equally paid. Humans and AI, artificial intelligence, complement each other, which opens the new opportunities for economic growth, production, healthcare, education, communications, and transportation. The world negotiates and finds agreements on technology and data governance. More and more states and societies have artificial intelligence and robotics regulations. Ethical and responsible use of technology for societal goods is the default. Humanity seeks equilibrium and explores ways to live a sustainable life. Some new challenges arise, and the world is committed to finding solutions which will benefit all. So these are the 4 different scenarios that they have planned, and one of these is what they're going to use to usher in. One of these four here is what they're going to use to usher in this complete digital transformation, which will ultimately lead us to the microchip. As I said, and I can't say enough, this is what the end game is. So let's just quickly go to it. This is what they've got planned. So one of those 4 scenarios is what they're going to use to usher in this complete digital transformation for the whole world. Like I said, this is for the whole world. And I still can't understand how people can't see what this is telling them when it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Every Bible translation is the same. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. NIV, it, which is the system, the elites, it also forced all people, people said, oh, what are they going to do? They're going to force you to take it? Yes, because they're going to create. We just witnessed the 4 different scenarios that the United Nations digital program are working on, and they're going to decide which one of them they're going to use to usher in this digital transformation, which will ultimately lead us to the mark, the microchip. It says here, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their forehead. This ain't talking about sin. This ain't talking about the Catholic Church. This ain't talking about the frigging Pope. This ain't talking about hegemony. This is talking about an actual something they're going to insert into you, because you're going to need it to be part of this new digital transformation that's going to come upon the whole world. It's as clear as day. Also, it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or in the forehead. That's not talking about sin, hegemony, the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church, the Vatican, the Spirit. This is talking about an actual thing they're going to put in you. The CSB says it, the same thing. And it makes everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. They're all saying the same thing. And he causes all, small and great, rich and poor. This is the New American Standard. Free men and slaves to be given a mark, which is the microchip on their right hand or in their foreheads. This is the Legacy Standard Bible. And he causes all, small and great, rich and poor, free men and slaves, that they be given a mark, to be given. You can't be given sin or the Pope or hegemony or the Spirit. Well, you can be given the Holy Spirit, don't get me wrong, right? But this is not talking about that. This is talking about an actual device, to be given a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. The NET, the New English Translation, he also calls everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to obtain. When you obtain something, you're receiving something, a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. RSV, the Revised Standard Version. Also, it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their forehead, the microchip. The the ASV, American Standard Version, and he causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the free and the bond, and there be given them a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. The YLT, the Young's Literal Translation, and it makes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the free men and the servants, that it may give to them a mark upon their right hand or in their foreheads. What else could this be talking about? DBY. I'm just being pedantic about this. I'm sorry. The Darby translation, and it causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor. This could be a rap tune, and the free and the bondmen, that they should give them a mark upon their right hand and upon their foreheads. HNV, the Hebrew Names Version. He causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, the free and the slave, to give them a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. I mean, what? It's mad. NLT, the New Living Translation, he requires everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on their right hand or in their forehead. WEB, and he causes all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. What the hell can this be talking about? This is the microchip. This is the charagma. The Bible tells us it's the charagma. It's the charax. It is the microchip. This is the charagma. The charagma. The charagma.
Strong's G 5480. Charagma.
A stamp, an imprinted mark. The mark branded upon horses, a thing carved. It's the microchip. This is the end game for this report here, that the United Nations digital program. This is what this is. This is the end game. These are the 4 scenarios that they have put together to show you. These are the alternative futures that they are creating for you. This has to be fulfilled. They're not creating something to do with the public, the Pope or headman. This is for the whole world. You got 1/5 of the world that believes in Islam. 1/5 believes in Hinduism and Sikhism. This is a particular thing. This is not someone trying to put religion on you or sin on you or anything. This is someone trying to get everyone reading from the same hymn sheet. And that hymn sheet is a digital transformation that's going to come upon the whole world. That's going to eventually lead us to the end game, which is the microchip. It's as clear as day. Listen, I just want to bring that out. I'm not going to say any more. I don't need to bring out any more scriptures. We all know what this is about. I just really want to give you a true update on the Universal Digital Payment Network that was launched at Davos on Friday. This thing is for real, family. If you just joined, I suggest you go back to the beginning of this edification and hear what these scholars had to say, and what I had to say regarding this report. So on that note, I pray you are edified by today's edification. As always, I want to give all the praise and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Kal, Halal, Yahweh, Vahasham, Yahweh Shai, Vahasham, Rakhokadash. Yahweh is the Most High, Yahweh Shai is the Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. These are his words. This is all going to be fulfilled. As I always say, keep praying, keep safe, and hold on to this truth, man. And don't let none of these wayward camps deter you from what's truly about to be put upon the whole world. Because these guys are making it as clear as day to you what's coming. The United Nations Digital Strategy Program. The digital transformation is here, family. It's here. So, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises.